Meow meow, it's me. Today we're going to be talking about running form and the progression of a recovery run and the progression of your form and your speed through different types of runs. So let's just jump right in. Let's start with your feet. Your foot strike should either be as flat to the ground as possible and then pushing off, or it can be the weight can land slightly forward on the ball of your foot and then you kind of tap the ground and then push off. Those are your two options. Do not avoid this at all costs. This is wrong. And your hips, torso should be straight. Your torso should not be having a twisting action going on. It should be straight ahead to where you're going. Your arms, your hands, very important. This, I don't know why I see people with fists in their runs. This is not relaxed. You need to be relaxed. So, hands loose, straight, cutting through the air, and your arms should have a back and forth motion going on. I can't really show you because of the chair, but something like this. I believe you know what I'm talking about. This is what not to do. This is definitely what not to do. And even this is not something you want. That is stopping you from running at your best. That is stopping you from being faster. It's just not helping you, it's hindering you. And shoulders relaxed, low, not this, relaxed, low. It gets harder as the run goes along to keep proper form, but the challenge is what this is about. And your face relaxed. You can smile during your run to tell yourself that it's okay. It calms you down. And eyes straight ahead. Once you get more focused during the run, you will focus on pretty much just what's ahead instead of taking in the sights, which you can do throughout the run. But eventually, you want to be focused on straight ahead, not down, not up. And your body should have this falling forward movement. You should be at an incline with your chin leading your chest, then your hips, and then your feet, like this. And what ties this all together is your breath. Your breath should be calm and under your control. Calm and under control. It might be slightly difficult to understand if you are not a runner, but even when you are doing a speed run or when you are pushing the pace faster, your breath, even though it quickens and it's deeper and heavier, it should still be calm and definitely always in your control. And the same thing with form. If your shoulders start bunching up, you need to keep them down. If, you know, you have to make sure that you are pushing off with your feet and your ankle, that you're taking off. Some people don't land correctly, but they push off. Some people don't some people land correctly but then don't push. You need to be doing both. You need to land and take off with your foot strike. And that's pretty much it. I think it's something that sort of boggles me a little bit. Running form is something that I would talk to everyone who would listen when I first trained for Flying Pig, and I learned about this because no one ever taught me running form. I was definitely doing this when I first started, and I didn't know any better. And the it's just strange that you would think running is something that comes natural to humans, but running efficiently does not come naturally to humans. That is something that is learned and acquired and trained and furthered to become a better skill. The other day, after my run, I went to the zoo and I saw a little girl sprinting on a field. And she was old enough to where she had control of her body, but young enough to where I thought she couldn't have possibly picked up bad habits. And she was sprinting like this. So totally wrong. Like in proper running form, this should not have been happening. And then she was also leaning back, I believe, so she didn't have that falling forward action. And the other day on my run, I saw a girl about my age and she was doing this. Y'all, this is not this is so unattractive. This is not sexy. This is sexy. Straight ahead, focus. Shoulders down, hands back and forth, flat. Your hands should be gliding through the air. And so I want to quickly touch up on inclines. So when you're going up an incline, you're um you shouldn't be taking as larger of a step when you're running. It's actually a little closer than usual. And on an incline, you are definitely doing the tapping action more than landing straight. Like your weight really is going more towards the ball of the foot, and you are definitely need to be pushing off when you're climbing up a hill, running up a hill. And going up in an incline, the falling forward action is even more pronounced. You really need to be leaning forward on that mountain. You need to be, or on that hill, you need to be pushing off from the mountain and falling more into it. And going downhill is where I I'm not leaning forward as much. I'm actually keeping my weight, um my body sort of straight up instead of leaning, and I'm definitely trying to press my foot as close to the downhill as I can. Probably not pushing off as much either, more like landing, I think. I don't really think about my downhills too much as I think about my up a hill, you know? All right. So, up a hill, also, your arms should really be driving back and forth. So let's look at some of my runs so you can get an idea of how your speed should be going and your form. Let's look at the last long run that I did, 25K, just over a little over 15 miles. So I'm going to be showing you on the Nike Run Club app here. All right. 25K. That's the route I took. And you can see that the change is very gradual to where I started to where I ended up. But you can still see that increase in speed very slowly. And I remember being kind of conservative with my energy on this run. And it does tell you that I started out, this is my lowest, 22:51. This is my highest, 6:21. Now, let's look at another recovery run. This was a 40-minute recovery run, so you can get a better idea. All right, look at that incline. This is my speed. So this is me starting at my lowest. This is me ending at my fastest. You can see here that I started a little too fast and then I settled down. And these little notches right here are probably me stopping to cross the street. So the app like turns off the run and then starts it back up for auto pause. And again, this is me ending at my fastest, 8:26. Now, let's also look at, this was a tempo run. So Before getting into the tempo run, I want to mention that I don't start out with super cool, sleek running form right out of the gate. I start very loose, very bouncy. I'm definitely not doing this, but I'm doing something like this. My hands are definitely not like this, cutting through the air. They're kind of like this. And I'm definitely not super focused on the route or whatever. I'm just taking in the sights when I first start. And I'm not at that incline when I start. I start out something like probably just very upright. So your form gets better as the run goes along. That is how you should um, think about it. But that's still the goal. You're never gonna see me run like this. Even when I start my run, you're not gonna see me doing this at the start of the run either. You're not gonna see me doing this with my foot strike at the start. You should still have proper form when you start. It should just not be super sleek until the very, very end. All right, tempo run. This was our warm up, and then you can see that incline going up. And it's more direct here because I didn't have to cross a street and it was a tempo, so we coach was very clear about the speed that I was supposed to be going at. And you can see me here kind of getting tired and then pushing um finishing strong. You have to finish strong on your runs. Now let's look at another speed run that was intervals. All right, so 10K pace. So this was our warm up, and then this is where we pause to take a break. And all of these are a 6 out of 10 effort. So this is a 6 out of 10, this is a 6 out of 10, this is a 6 out of 10, this is a 6 out of 10. This is probably my best one. I don't know if that's the second one or third one. And then the last one, you can see how I started out very slow. You can see here that fatigue was getting to me, but I still ended at my fastest, 8:30 over here. So that, all right. I wanted to show you that because I think a lot of people don't know proper running form and they don't know that they're doing it wrong because I didn't. And the whole speed recovery thing, I think a lot of people start out too fast. They think that they can run an entire mile. You don't run, you even 1 mile, you don't run an entire mile. You start out conservative. In all my runs, I start out at a 3 out of 10 effort, always. And then I eventually pick up the pace if it's a recovery run. About halfway, I make sure that I'm at a 5 and then keep going. And I don't run that sleek form running that I mentioned earlier until the very end because you can't run an entire thing. You just can't. You have to divide the run into chunks in a way, and you have to have that mentality of starting out at your slowest and finishing at your strongest. So that was it. I hope that you learned something. This was something that I've been thinking about sharing because, like I said, I think a lot of people aren't aware of proper running form, proper foot strike, and the progression that should be happening with their speed during a recovery run. So, hope you learned something, and I will see you in my next Flying Pig vlog.